to all you rad people out there from whatever rad time you're watching in whatever rad place. You know the drill. I'm Ryan.
And I'm David. And this is
That
the
makes us rad.
RAD Rad. Absolutely. You know, Ryan, I got to thinking a lot of, over this week, honestly, in terms of us helping each other in quarantine, right? And I read some articles about people, volunteering during quarantine, right? And it really got me thinking about volunteer, right? What is the meaning of volunteering in many ways, right? For you, what does volunteering mean?
Well, I've had a little bit of experience volunteering and helping out people who where you can with your abilities or with your I guess I don't know, privilege maybe, and sharing that a little bit is a really cool experience. But yeah, it's something that sometimes I think a lot of people might say like, well, I volunteer, but I don't know
How?
I feel like that in Colombia, since I've been there, I don't really know where to go. I don't know if they have like soup kitchens here or places where they serve food to the needy or things like that. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult for me to like pinpoint a place. How about yourself?
I think I've done some volunteering as well, and I've always really connected and found myself, I think, in that way. But I think this is why we got a real special guest today, who's going to be telling us everything that he has done with volunteering and what it means to him. And I'm really interested in his definition of what it means to him. So without further ado, may we welcome Herman Diaz.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello guys, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, not too bad. So Herman,
that's great. Well,
really want to thank you for coming to the podcast today. You're actually the first, actually, no, because Antonio came as well. Yeah, Juan Antonio. So, yeah, as far as school teachers go, you are the first to really bring something to the table, and we're really looking forward to having you.
That's great. Well, thank you for the invitation, and thank you also for that introductory kind of like words about volunteering, something that I really, really like to do. Okay, so here I am. How can I help you?
Well, you once told me all the projects that you've done, but I'm curious. What does volunteering mean to you?
Well, I something that probably I have learned doing these kind of activities. I started kind of like, as you mentioned at the beginning, thinking about giving something to others, giving, let's say, what I know, what I like to do, kind of like sharing my skills. But then I realized that actually when you volunteer and when you share with someone else, actually you are really, really receiving a lot from the others, right? Yeah. It's kind of like receiving love, receiving kind of like care, receiving words, people being very, very kind of like grateful as well. So for me, volunteering is kind of like that exchange, giving and receiving. For me, that's the meaning of it.
I like that. The give and receive, right? And what is it that you would define as is the large factor that you're giving, and what's it that you're receiving in terms?
Well, actually, probably we can think it's like a 50-50, kind of like a balance or kind of like a thing. But I don't think it's that way. Actually, you are probably giving 20 or 30 of that percentage, but actually you are receiving more from the others, probably 70 or 80%. And especially because when we think about volunteer, we probably think about like people in need, maybe poor communities. And when you go there, you think like, okay, what are they gonna give us back? And it's not anything related to material things, not economic things. Actually seeing the smile of a children, kind of like a family or mother, just saying thank you, that's all they can give to you. I think it actually worth, I kind of like worthless, that's for sure. Is that correct? It's kind of like priceless, or actually hasn't, priceless, that would be better. That's right. Actually, it's priceless. That's right.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
And so you've had quite a bit of experience over the years volunteering. Do you want to tell us maybe how did you get started in doing it?
Sure. Actually, I didn't know how was it, and kind of I think I started in high school with the activity that we used to do in the school. It was just part of like the social service or being around the communities, and it was something that we had to do it. But there was something that I really like about it, like being in touch with others, talking especially with children. So I think it started that there. After in the university, probably I did some activities with my friends. But actually, I think it was kind of like a cold or something like that. It started like, I would say like 25 years ago, when I started going to some foundations in Bogota. And I was just starting as a teacher. So I thought it was good to be in a high school, kind of like a private school, but also sharing the same kind of opportunities with some others that couldn't be in the same kind of schools. So I started going to a foundation which was close to my house, and they used to have girls who couldn't be with their families because violence, because of economical situations. So they have to be there. It was kind of how you call that, when they have to live like 7 days during the week there, they cannot go homes.
Compulsory. It was.
I don't know.
Yeah, like a I don't know if a halfway house is quite the.
Yeah.
That's right, something like that. So they have to remain the whole time in their place. So I used to go during weekends and help them doing homeworks. And that's how actually I started. And I really liked it. You know, it was not just, I start to see that it's not just giving, but also receiving. They start talking about their lives. There are some things about families. And I started to get involved in this kind of activities.
So it's funny that you brought up the fact that your first experience was in high school, because the place I finished high school in, for example, it was compulsory that every year you had to have 30 years of volunteer experience, right, in order to graduate. So I was there for 2 years, and when I graduated, I had to have 60 hours total. Now, I'm curious, from your perspective, do you think that there's a larger impact in volunteering at a younger age, or rather than an older age, or do you think that it doesn't matter the age that you start volunteering at?
Yeah, actually, I think that at any age you can start doing these kind of activities. Of course, if you start younger, probably you will find something nicer to do. Could kind of like be creating some projects, or kind of like start your kind of social entrepreneur activities or something like that. And actually, for me as a teacher, I think it's important for the students to have this kind of experience, because there you can also learn about how we similar are as a humans. That we all have needs, we all have thoughts, we all have kind of like dreams. So for young people, for children, it's important to learn that since they are young. So that's why I actually recommend, and I actually have had the opportunity to be involved in some voluntary activities with my students in some other schools. And I think it's very, very interesting. I think it's worth it for them.
And Ryan, for you,
interesting.
Sorry, go for
it. No, I was going to say it's interesting that these things often start with a sort of a requirement, right? David had to do some social service for high school. Herman had to do some for high school as well. Like in my case, I did a little bit of volunteering in the university because they offered it as like extra credit for a class, right? So these were, low level, early level education classes. And they said, yeah, if you could go to this place. It was called the Reno Housing Authority. So it was low income housing for people who needed it. And they had a small space where the kids would go every day after school, and they would receive a little bit of, something to eat. And we would teach them what we call life skills. So every day they would brush their teeth and wash their hands, and then we'd help them with homework, and then we'd play games with them, and it was cool. But I mean, I was in the same situation. I did it because they, kind of required me to do it, or it was for a grade, or something like that. And then from that, the semester ended, and it was like, well, okay, I'll see you never. And I wasn't really prepared to, like, I don't know. I'm a person, I guess, who puts a lot of emotion investment in people. And I wasn't just ready to like say, all right, kids, have a good life.
Yeah.
So I continued to go because I thought, well, I can't just stop just because the semester stopped. I mean, that's so yeah, it's interesting how these things can spring out of like David said, compulsory experiences, right? Things that you're forced to do in some way, but that you learn from that, right?
That's true. And as you mentioned, Ryan, actually, probably after you have the experience, even though it's a requirement, right? Sometimes it could happen like in your case, that you have that feeling that, I really liked it and I can probably do it more, not just because I'm asked to do it, because I really like to do it. I did really enjoy doing it. And actually that you mentioned, and now I remember that when I finished high school, I went as exchange student to the States, and I live in Athens, which is a little town in Ohio. And there was a tutoring center for children, and it was also kind of like a place with low income. And after my classes, I used to go to that tutoring center to have classes with children. And I also, because I have the idea, I speak Spanish, so I can teach a couple of words. And I started working with them, and it was very nice also, once again, helping them, but also especially kind of like having fun, playing, singing, doing very nice activities. And I started to realize that because of their family situation, probably something as simple as sing or create something or learn something new, it was not possible for them. And I knew that I had the opportunity to share with them something that I liked it, or I knew a little bit about it, right?
Right.
Oh, I find it particularly interesting how we were talking about our first experiences with volunteering. And there was that, and I think Herman, you gave the definition of volunteering for you. It was a give and take. Now, I believe that applies to that first experience, right? Because you're required and therefore you feel a take. But I think over time, as you gradually do it, you develop something that I believe in very highly, which is altruism. I'm going to share the definition with all the viewers for just 1 second. Altruism, right, is the principle of unselfish concern for or devotion to the welfare of others. So, Herman, because you're someone who's been doing it consistently, would you say that eventually, for you, after having volunteered so many times, you've come into that state of altruism?
Well, sometimes when I hear the word, I think like for those like magnet and rich people that are spending a lot of money doing those kind of things. So for me, it would be kind of like weird feeling that way. But now that you mention, actually, we as a teacher, probably we have chosen this not just a profession, but a mission, because somehow we like this kind of things. We like to do things that could help others, right? Teaching, I think that's the best example of giving yourself to others, right? Such as the medical, the doctors or people in social service, right? So yes, actually that I've been working and doing volunteering, I think that is something very important for my life. And actually, I don't see myself like not doing these kind of activities. Actually, when I can do it, like nowadays that now in Pereira, I have a volunteering activity every single weekend, and I haven't been able to go to the place that I do the volunteering. I'm feeling I'm missing something, really, really. So I feel weird, and I'm kind of like, when can I go back and work with the children and do the activities again? So yeah, somehow it's something that becomes part of your life, important part of your life. And when you can do it, you actually miss it a lot.
Makes a lot of sense.
And you were mentioning the group that you work with in Pereira. I don't know if maybe you wanted to elaborate a little bit more about what is it that you do specifically, and I'm wondering too, do you have a possibility to work with them in a virtual mode these days, or how much of that would be possible for them? Or
that's right. Sure. Actually,
Sure.
Actually, I can share with you a little bit of the experience that nowadays I'm having here in Pereira. And actually, David, at the moment, is showing a couple of pictures. You can maybe jump to the last, probably 2 or 3 that we have there. Because I also like, at the volunteering activities that I like, you can go kind of like the last one, I think the number 7 probably. That's the one that over there. Those are kind of like here in Pereira. Well, the point is that I also like music. I play the guitar, right? And I sing a little bit. So when I came here to Pereira 5 years ago, I started looking for a place where I could do something, volunteer activities. So there is a person that introduced to me this foundation, which is called Crisol, and they work with the community pretty close to Kumari. In general, there are like 160 families around. It started the community as the placement people, right, from different parts of the country. And the Crisol is located there, and they have a lot of programs. And when they saw in my CV that I like music and have been involved in some music groups, they proposed to me to create the choir, actually to continue with the choir with the children there. So that's exactly what I do every Saturday. I go every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. and I sing with the kids. This picture, for example, that is there, it was taken last December, that we were called to go to a mall in downtown here in Pereira to sing during Christmas time, right? So as you can see, all of the people, the girls that are part of the choir, and we are practicing rehearsal. We have a rehearsal every Saturday. We already have like 28 to 30 songs that we have kind of like practice. And for December, we also have some other music, kind of like carols or, Christmas songs that we practice. And the intention also for me is like, when I start doing this activity with them, I propose, well, I ask them, what would you like to sing? And they start to call a lot of songs that they like, but basically most of them were reggaeton or very kind of popular music that that the message are, okay, that's not exactly the message that I want them to sing. So I said, how about if we start thinking about songs that are very nice, that they have nice messages, kind of like about good things, and probably that you really like. So we start listening to Diego Torres, he's from Argentina, Andres Cepeda, the Colombian singer as well, and they have very nice messages. So we start kind of like singing these kind of songs. For example, in this one is in the place of the foundation. When we get together every Saturday, I have the guitar there, and I kind of like teach them how to sing. Kind of like we have the words printed in paper, so we start practicing, and it is very nice how they kind of like their faces change when we start singing. I know that in the environment there is a lot of violence, of course, poorness, and when we have that space for a couple of hours, I think that is very important for all of us. I remember a couple of years ago when we were doing the activity, I asked them, how was your week? Or how are you doing this week? Something like that. And one of the oldest girls who said, I'm very happy because it's Saturday. And I say, okay, nice. Why? What happened today? And she says, well, teacher, because we have the choir. And that moment, I realized that for her, the whole week was very important because of the activity on Saturdays. So once again, well, as I told you at the beginning, it's not just giving, but also receiving from the people something that is important, right? In this one, for example, there is another volunteering activities that I do during the vacations in January and July. We have summer camps pretty close to Bogota. And especially in January, we have the ones that is offered for kids that are also in foundation or probably from a Parkland, like poor families. And we give them 8 days in a farm away from Bogota, this kind of a special vacations for them. It is a work that I work with a kind of like a Catholic association in Bogota. I've been involved since 2001 or something like that. And we take these kids for that week, and we have fun with them, we play a lot with them, but especially we share with them values, the importance of a family, the importance of believing in something, the importance of being good, the importance of be a nice friend, to follow the rules, to be honest, those kind of things. And actually, I think for those kids in January who goes to the summer camps, it's kind of like a life experience. after years, you can meet them 4 or 5 years after, and they remember the songs, they remember the volunteer we were with them, the messages that we work, kind of like the sentences or the learnings. So that's why it is so important, for me, these kind of activities. During July, we do this kind of the same kind of summer camps, but we do it with the kids who are in private schools. So they have the chance to pay for it. And with part of the money that they pay in July, we kind of like have the money to do it in January for the other kids. But they have the same kind of experience. So it's once again, when you have the chance to see, we are so similar. We are so similar.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Beautiful. Very, very nice. Very nice. I really applaud you for, above all, continuing volunteering, because I feel like sometimes we claim an event for a volunteer, but not many, continuously repeat an event over and over with volunteering. And it takes a lot of heart, I think, in order to continue with it. Absolutely. And you've exemplified it, if anything, in the samples that we've just seen. So I applaud you, Herman. Thank you. Very, very.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as you mentioned, I think it's kind of like the door, which kind of like give you the chance to be involved in any activity of volunteering, kind of like an event, and you start from there because there is something that you really like. Once again, I think it's kind of like a call that you have there, and you start doing, and you start kind of like doing more and more and more. And once probably it can become one part of a kind of like important part of your life, as I mentioned, right? Doing it regularly, be involved, looking for something else to do. And I think that is always something good to do for people, right? It is just like not a huge event. It's not just like a special place or a moment or foundation. Actually, you can do it every single day, just being good with your neighbors, with your family, helping people. And especially probably for those that are always there, but sometimes you don't have the chance to. Let's say, for example, at home, let's say, for example, in the streets, you can also help the people right there. Just ask them, hey, how are you doing today? What about your children? Can I help you with this? Can we play a little bit? Come on, we have a ball here. We can have like a match or something like that. You can start from small things. And once again, when you have the opportunity just to be with the other, share with the other, oh man, you feel, I don't know, complete, perfect, great.
I think that's a really cool thing that you mentioned, and sometimes maybe one of the most difficult things is to get over that barrier of sort of saying to another person like, hey, I don't know, maybe sometimes for me it's hard to almost like assume that person would need help or would, right? So you don't, or maybe it's because I'm a gringo from the Western United States. Like our values are always about independence.
Yeah,
I can do it by myself, right?
Sure.
And so sometimes for me, it almost feels like insulting or something to like say to somebody, hey, do you need some help, right? But I think it's a super important skill in life that can really pay off eventually when you learn how to use it correctly, because then people start to recognize the genuine care that you have for others, I think. So
that's true. And you kind of like talk about something which is very, very important, not just for volunteering, but I think it's kind of like a life attitude, which is you have to be careful doing this activity, not to be like, I yes, and I can't do it, you can't. You have to be careful because we all are human. And once again, we all have needs, and we all always have something good to share with the others. And once again, it's not just material things, something that you can buy, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful and be very respectful with the others. So kind of like the approach that I have learned is like, hello, here I am. I'm Herman. I like these kind of things. How can I help you? It's kind of like that. I don't know actually what's your need, but here I am. I like to do these kind of things. Can we share it a little bit? Because as you see, I know and I like this kind of thing, but for sure you can also teach me something, right? So it is important in this kind of like relationship to have that in mind, that we all have needs and we all can offer things to the others. And once again, when I say about things, not material, but values, experience. I remember when I was in high school, around 7th, 8th grade, and we went to this farm that they were have like roses plantations or something like that. And it was a very, very poor people that they used to work there. And I remember at the end of the afternoon that with my friends, we went to one of the houses and they were very excited to have us in their houses. It was a very poor house. And the woman that was there, the very old woman, she was so nice, she was so cute. And she said, I'm very sorry, we're very poor, but this is the only thing that we can offer to you. And it was kind of like a beverage, a very typical brand in Colombia, which is the agua de panela. I have no idea how to say that in English, right? Mm-hmm. But it was the only thing that she could offer to us. But at that moment, we were tired. It was kind of like a very hot outside. And that beverage at the moment, it was, oh man, the best thing that someone could give us, right? And it was all she had. And it's exactly all that we need at the moment. So it's kind of like the example, you see, probably the simple things you can find something that is very important.
You know, it brings up an interesting concept that I'm thinking of, you know, helping someone in need, right? Which is just like that you see someone in need and you help them. But let me propose a little bit out there, but, you know, in many ways, culture, right? What if there was volunteer culture, global volunteer culture, right? I mean, I often hear about certain parts of the world having lots of UN volunteers or people volunteering in those parts of the world. But imagine a global volunteer culture. I would honestly suspect that could change the world right there. A global volunteer culture. A culture that let me help you so that you help me, kind of, you know, like that, you know, Jerry Maguire, let me help you so you help me, you know, but that kind of culture of, you know, us, someone, and they, you know, it's chain reaction. I don't know.
Yeah. That's how it is. That's how it is. And I think it is important. And actually, at the beginning, you were mentioned, at what time can we start volunteering, right? We know that at any age, you can start helping the others, right? But there is something I think is happening also with youth, which I see that they are really interested in helping others and probably getting involved in these kind of movements, not just probably helping the other, but also helping the earth, the environment, the animals, blah, blah, blah. So I think it is very interesting for our kids, our young people who are feeling that they can do something else and they can give something, right, to the world. So I think it is also important and kind of like encourage everybody to do it. Right? Not just because it's a requirement or for your diploma or because it's nice or people are expecting you to help. No, it's just because we have to actually. It's kind of like a human duty or we must do it actually.
You're doing something bigger than you know? And
that's right.
I think, you know, part of the human condition, if you will, is to always lean more towards myself. I need to protect myself and ego, if you will, right? Like, you know, I think part of human condition is that growing ego that we have inside of us.
That's right.
I've often said that everyone in life needs an ERP. It's a term I made up, like ego reduction program.
That's nice. Okay. I like it. I agree.
Find an ERP and, you know, you just live by the ERP for your life. But it sounds weird, but, you know, and I think volunteering is one of those other aspects that, you know, brings down the ego more into a more centered self, if that makes sense, right?
For sure. I think it is important. I really like that concept. I think it's very important to work on it. And yes, it's like when you have the chance to, for a moment, be not the center of something, but given the importance of the other, just because that's how it is. Oh man, it is so nice. It's so nice, the feeling. And you learn, you grow, and you start kind of like seeing the importance of the things, kind of like the real things, right? What really matters actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely.
David, I want to get an ERP t-shirt now, I think.
That'd be a good idea. Okay, start the movement, you know, kind of like volunteering in order to work reducing ego.
Though it might be ego serving, because then I might just be inviting people to ask me, hey, what does this shirt mean?
Honestly, Ryan, I think the ideas that you have and I have like spat on this podcast, we need to find a way of protecting these ideas. Yeah, because there's some
copyright.
Some good ideas. Yeah, that's right.
And speaking of young people, speaking of how people can get involved in volunteering, and of course knowing that in Colombia anyway, to graduate from high school, it's a requirement, right? We students of ours and viewers of our podcast at some point need to do some volunteer work. How do you see San Miguel social service connections, and where do you see, I don't know, maybe opportunity for other arrangements with foundations, with businesses, with other things? What do you see as the potential there?
We have all the potential there. First of all, because I think it is related to our fundamental kind of like values from the school, right? Humanity, helping the others, developing leadership, and that's exactly leadership, you know, to impact the world, to do something good for the others. And I think everything is there. I know that school has done a lot of activities, and it also has been involved in some other volunteering activities and helping. And actually nowadays, not just helping the others outside of the community, actually helping the community, which is something important. And by the way, last semester, I went with Maite, with Maria Teresa, to kind of like seeing around what was around the school, because there is a lot of community and people around the school. There is a high school pretty close to us, and there is a lot of elementary schools around us, early homes around us. And we are kind of like thinking of a project in how the school, the community, we can all get involved in helping the community next to us, not just for our students, but also for their families, and especially for we as a staff. Could you imagine all of us as a teachers going to do something for the community next to us? Teaching something, having fun, creating activities, helping the kids or the people, or I don't know, helping and painting the school around. I don't know, lots of things. So yes, that is something that we want to work on it. I know the school is very interested in doing it, and actually we have all the potential, as you mentioned, Ryan, around. And I know that there is the kind of like a project going on to do those activities around the school.
I think that aspect of local volunteering is critical, because it ties you, it makes you feel connected to what you call home, right?
That's right. That's very important. Actually, one of the pictures that you were showing there, actually, I don't know if maybe you want to show it again. Let me check if I can remember which is the number. So you go straight to that one. That's number 3 in the picture, number 3. Actually, it is very interesting because it is that one. It is related to what we are talking about. In one of the high schools that I used to work in Bogota, it is located in the north of the capital, and it is a very nice school. But it's located kind of like a very, I don't know, like middle class neighborhood, right? And from the beginning of the school, one of the missions was, how can we help the neighborhoods that we have around in order to improve and be better? And actually there is a high school, it's a private school, it's just a girls' school, but they have next to the school, kind of like elementary school for kids that live in the neighborhood, right? So it's kind of like the same ideology and philosophy and everything, but it's just for kids. And in this activity, the one that we're seeing there was a project from the high school girls, from the Students' Council, who wants to be involved with the little ones in the elementary school. And so they create a small summer camp, and it's a summer camp because that's what I like a lot, right? It related to the experiential education. And we kind of like get together 3 days, giving them this opportunity for the kids, girls and boys who were graduating from 5th grade, and they were going to a high school outside from there. So it was kind of like the finish activities and the last moment for them to be together. So right here, we have some of the high school students from the Student Council getting involved with the little ones. So I think that's how we can do it, you know, impact the community around us. And actually have that dream, and I share it with Maria Teresa as well. It would be very nice that our kids in San Miguel could get involved with the kids around them. There is a lot of things to do. For example, the model of the United Nations, which is a very nice project that we have developed, and our kids are very happy with it. We're trying to think to see if we can take it to the high school that is next to us, and teach them how is the model, so they can maybe create their own model of the United Nations, and maybe we can work something together, right? So as we can do a lot of things to do.
Yeah, I keep thinking about like kids on the bus, heading up via Armenia, going to school, and just what a different experience it would be to look out the window and say, yeah, well, I helped paint that building, or I helped clean up that guadual, or I know that some of those kids who go to that high school, and it would be very different experience, I think.
For sure. And actually, as being part of the community, we can feel, that we are doing something for them. So we have a lot of things to do. And once again, it doesn't have to be like a very huge program with a lot of resources, a lot of money. No, we can just start being next to each other, saying, hey, good morning, how are you today? Can we do these two things together? Can we do something in order for you to learn, for me to learn? That's how we can start.
Excellent.
Seems like it always is just a little bit about attention, paying a little bit of attention, and not being afraid to talk and approach with others, right? I mean, just remembering those, like you said, how much we have in common, how much. Sure.
So
similar. Very cool.
That's nice. That's very good. That's right.
Well, Herman, is there anything else that you'd like to mention about volunteering? Any last words to sort of inspire people to get started, or any suggestions on specific places to go, or people that who are looking for volunteers, or way for people to volunteer?
Sure. First of all, I would suggest this is something that you have to at least try it once in your life, right? Try to get involved in something, just, for the at least to have the experience. And if you like it, and if you think that is something important for you, just keep looking for something. How can you do it like more constantly, and getting involved in something that you like. And secondly, that's exactly that you have, that it would be nice if you find what exact topic or people would you like to work with. Once again, as I mentioned, I love to be working with little ones. I have too much fun. I play, right? That's exactly kind of the population I like to work with. But there is like some other activities about environment, about animals, about, lots of things. So it depends on what you feel kind of like more comfortable to work with or to be involved with. So that's something important to have in mind. And finally, you are always welcome, as it may be sometimes any of you or maybe someone else in the community that maybe sometimes when we have the chance to go out again and go to the community that I work with, there is a lot of things to do there. So you are always welcome. Just let me know whenever you have the time. Saturdays from in the afternoon, I'm always there. If you don't like music or you don't like to sing or play an instrument, don't worry about it, because we can talk about life. We can give them advices. We can work with their families. So feel free to ask anybody who is involved in the activities and ask them maybe to invite you a day and just have the experience for sure. It actually is very important. Also, probably it's an activity that you can do with your relatives, with your family. I really like when parents take their kids to do these kind of things and the kids see the parents being involved. Oh, that's very nice. That's also very nice. It's a family activity, very nice. So just give it a chance. I think just give it a chance.
Excellent. No, that's fantastic advice. And I if I'm here for the summer, I'd love to do some volunteering myself, actually. So I might have to contact you about that. Excellent. Thank you.
Let me know. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for volunteering to be on our podcast today.
I love to do it. No, seriously, thank you for your invitation. Once again, it is nice to talk to you about some other topics, And by the way, congratulations for the activity that you are doing. Somehow, this is kind of like a voluntary activity that you are doing, giving extra time for the kids to share, to kind of like get connected, to learn some about other things. So you see, this very nice podcast is also a volunteering activity. So congratulations. I've been watching a couple of them, and it's very nice, good idea. And well, I wish you the best. And whenever you need anything else from me, just let me know.
Excellent. Herman, thank you for coming. And for the viewers, we look forward to having you share your passion on this channel. So bring it along, people. All right.
Let's make it rad.
Let's make it rad. Take care, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.